In a quiet village nestled in a lush valley surrounded by towering mountains, there lived a young man named Ethan. The villagers were hardworking, simple people who spent their days tending fields and caring for their families. They were content with their routines and saw no need to venture beyond the familiar boundaries of their village. But Ethan was different. He had a spark in his eyes, a restless energy that set him apart. Every evening, he would climb a small hill near the village and sit on a rock, gazing at the tallest peak in the distance. This mountain, shrouded in mist, was called the Mountain of Dreams. It was said that anyone who reached its summit would find a treasure capable of fulfilling their greatest desires. Most dismissed it as a mere legend, a tale to entertain children. Ethan, however, believed in the legend. His dream wasn't about gold or riches. He yearned to prove that he could achieve something extraordinary, to rise above the ordinary life that surrounded him. If I can climb that mountain, he thought, I can conquer anything life throws at me. One day, Ethan gathered the villagers and made an announcement. I'm going to climb the Mountain of Dreams, he declared. The crowd erupted into laughter. You're chasing a fantasy, one elder scoffed. His closest friend, Daniel, pulled him aside. Ethan, think about this. No one who's tried has ever returned. You'll waste your life chasing something that might not even be real. But Ethan's mind was made up. I'd rather fail trying than live my life wondering, what if? He replied. The next morning, with a small pack of supplies, Ethan set out on his journey. The villagers watched as he disappeared down the path, shaking their heads at what they saw as youthful foolishness. The first part of Ethan's journey led him through a dark, dense forest. The towering trees blocked out most of the sunlight, and an eerie silence hung in the air. As he walked deeper into the woods, doubt began to creep into his mind. The quiet seemed to amplify the whispers in his head. What if I can't do it? What if the treasure doesn't exist? What if everyone was right? At one point, Ethan sat down under a massive oak tree, his resolve shaken. He thought about turning back. Just then, he noticed an old carving on the tree's trunk. It read, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." The words reignited his determination. He stood up, brushed off the dirt, and pressed forward. The doubts didn't vanish entirely, but he learned to silence them with action, one step at a time. After days in the forest, Ethan emerged to find a wide, raging river blocking his path. The water churned and roared, its power daunting. There was no bridge, and swimming across seemed impossible. Frustrated, Ethan sat by the riverbank, trying to devise a plan. As he pondered, an elderly woman appeared, carrying a bundle of sticks. She noticed Ethan's troubled expression and said, "You look like someone who's trying to cross but doesn't know how." "I am," Ethan admitted, "but I can't find a way." The woman smiled kindly. "Strength alone won't help you here. You need to think differently." She showed Ethan how to weave the sticks into a small raft. It took hours of effort, but with her guidance, he managed to construct something sturdy enough to carry him across. As Ethan paddled to the other side, he reflected on what he had learned, that obstacles often required creativity and the humility to accept help. The path grew steeper as Ethan approached the mountain's base. Eventually, he faced a sheer cliff that seemed impossible to climb. He strapped on his gear and began the ascent, his muscles straining with every pull. About halfway up, he realized the weight of his pack was making the climb harder. He paused, dangling precariously from the rock face. "Do I really need all this?" he thought. Reluctantly, he began discarding items, extra food, spare clothes, even sentimental objects he had brought for comfort. As his load lightened, the climb became more manageable. Reaching the top of the cliff, Ethan sat to catch his breath. He understood now that to move forward in life, he sometimes had to let go of things, even things he thought were important. Not everything could come with him on his journey. Before the final ascent, Ethan reached a plateau where the view was breathtaking. The valley stretched out below him, the village a tiny speck in the distance. Here, he met an old man sitting by a small fire. The man seemed to be waiting for him. "Why are you climbing this mountain?" the old man asked. "I want to prove to myself that I can," Ethan replied. The man nodded. "That's a noble goal. But remember, the mountain doesn't care whether you succeed or fail. The lessons you learn on the way up are the real treasure." Ethan spent the night with the old man, pondering his words. When morning came, he thanked the stranger and resumed his climb. After weeks of grueling effort, Ethan finally reached the summit. The air was thin, and the cold bit at his skin, but the view was unlike anything he had ever seen. The sky stretched endlessly above him, and the sun bathed the world in golden light. But there was no treasure chest, no jewels or gold. For a moment, Ethan felt disappointment. Then, as he stood there, he realized something profound. The treasure wasn't something material. It was the courage he had found in the forest, the ingenuity he had developed at the river, the wisdom he had gained at the cliff, and the clarity he had discovered on the plateau. He laughed, a sound that echoed across the peaks. The mountain hadn't given him riches. It had given him something far more valuable, a belief in himself and a deeper understanding of life. When Ethan returned to the village, the people were stunned. They gathered around him, eager to hear about his adventure. Instead of boasting about his journey, Ethan shared the lessons he had learned. He told them about the doubts he had faced, the struggles he had overcome, and the insights he had gained. "You don't need to climb a mountain to find treasure," he told them. "The real treasure lies in facing your fears, learning from your challenges, and growing stronger with each step you take." Ethan's story inspired the villagers. Some began pursuing their own dreams, starting new ventures, learning new skills, and challenging the limits they had set for themselves. The Mountain of Dreams, once seen as an unreachable goal, became a symbol of hope and ambition. Ethan continued to climb other mountains in his life, both literal and metaphorical. And though he never found gold, he became richer with every journey, proving that the greatest treasures are those we find within ourselves. The moral of the Mountain of Dreams is that the true treasures in life are not material but the personal growth, courage, and wisdom gained through facing challenges. Ethan's journey teaches us that every obstacle, whether it's fear, struggle, or sacrifice, shapes us into stronger, wiser individuals. Success isn't just about reaching a destination, but about learning and evolving along the way. This story reminds us that our dreams are worth pursuing, even when others doubt us. By stepping out of our comfort zones and embracing the journey, we uncover our inner strength and resilience. The journey itself becomes the reward, proving that the greatest treasures are the lessons and self-discoveries we find within ourselves.